That was just beautiful. So I'm going to share now, Sarah shared a brief history of Brigid, and I'm going to share a slightly longer brief history of Brigid's eternal flame, and this is written by the Brigidine sisters. A sacred fire burned in Kildare, reaching back into pre-Christian times. Scholars suggest that priestesses used to gather on the hill of Kildare to tend their ritual fires while invoking a goddess named Brigid to protect their herds and to provide a fruitful harvest. When Saint Brigid built her monastery and church in Kildare, she continued the custom of keeping the fire alight. For her and her nuns, the fire represented the new light of Christianity, which reached Ireland's shores early in the 5th century. Some historians record that a few attempts were made to have the fire extinguished, but without success. Yes. The fire burned for centuries, but was extinguished in the 16th century during the Reformation by order of the Archbishop of Dublin. The sacred flame was relit in 1993 at the opening of a Justice and Peace Conference entitled Brigid, Prophetess, Earthwoman, Peacemaker. Kildare County Council commissioned a sculpture to house the flame. The piece comprises a twisted column which flourishes at the top into large-scale oak leaves, nestled into which there is a bronze acorn cup holding the flame. The use of oak leaves symbolizes both Christian beliefs of Saint Brigid and the earlier Druids' worship of the trees. Since then, the Brigidine sisters in Kildare have tended the flame, burning as a beacon of hope, justice, and peace for our country and our world. Thank you, Brigidine sisters. Think of what it took to maintain this flame over centuries, covering it from the rain. What? Rain in Ireland? Shielding it from the wind up on that hill, right? Keeping it fueled with dry peat and wood, tending it with devotion. Lighting a flame is one of the simplest and most basic ritual acts we can do. It can be an act of devotion, of meditation, a reflection of our own divinity. Of course, lighting the chalice flame is central to the ritual of our services, and the chalice as the symbol of our UU faith. How can Brigid's eternal flame warm us, inspire us, transform us? As Sarah mentioned, Imbolc is a fire festival, but contemplative, focused inward, not big and bright like Beltane's bonfires in May, but a time to nurture our inner flame like a seed germinating in the dark earth. It marks the coming of spring flowers soon. The bulb flowers like daffodils and narcissus here on our altar are popping their heads up as if announcing more flowers to come. In his poem, Work Without Hope, Samuel Taylor Coleridge says, "All nature seems at work, slugs leave their lair, the bees are stirring, birds are on the wing, and winter, slumbering in the open air, wears on his smiling face a dream of spring." Seasonal celebrations of many cultures cluster around these same natural turning points. Imbolc is the midpoint between winter solstice and spring equinox. The light is growing and growing, right? Longer days until we get to summer solstice. February 17th marks the Chinese New Year, and it's the year of the horse. Not only that, but the fire horse. Brigid is a powerful goddess with a hand in many matters, including blessing cattle and dairy production, as well as bees. Milk and honey. Bees were considered sacred messengers between the natural and spiritual worlds. Do you know the old Irish tradition of telling the bees? Has anyone heard of this? Anybody know about this? Yeah, a couple of people. When there was a death in the family, especially, or some other important news, beekeepers would go to the hives and whisper it to the bees so they could bring the news to the spirit realm. It was said that it was also a way of making the bees feel comfortable like they were family so that they would stay and settle in and not fly off somewhere. But Brigid is most often known, as Sarah said, as the triple goddess of healing, poetry, and smithcraft, and her fire takes different forms for each. In her healing aspect, as you can imagine, it is a gentle, nurturing fire. Imagine glowing embers providing warmth in a room where someone is ill or birthing a child, fire to boil water for soothing tea. I think of Reverend Julia's baby blessing, warming her hand over the flame, then gently holding it to the baby's head. The gentle fire of healing. As goddess of poetry, she lights a bright spark of creativity in us. When inspiration comes in a rush and we reach for notebook, paint, instrument. Sometimes that spark comes in the dark of night. I have gotten myself a lighted pen so I don't have to turn on the lamp to write down an idea. This is the bright, crackling fire of inspiration. As goddess of smithcraft, we see her at her forge, the roaring flames before her representing the transformative power of fire, turning ore to metal, turning our ideas into action. Maybe an idea that came to us at night, scribbled with our lighted pen on a notepad, will now be manifested into reality with this power. People like to say, envisioning it is half the journey, but the next half needs real energy to take a vision to reality. This is the blazing fire of transformation. At any given time, you may feel in your heart the gentle, warm embers of healing, the bright, crackling spark of creative inspiration, the fierce, roaring fire of transformation. I invite you to close your eyes now and take a moment to notice which of these flames speaks to you: healing, creative inspiration, or transformation. I invite you to hold this fire energy now in your heart and join me in taking a deep breath to feed that fire. Here we breathe in and out. And if you'd like, keep your eyes closed as I end with a prayer to Brigid by Mahata Thomas. Her heart is so bright she can illuminate the darkest of dark in the darkest night. We ask her to bless our creative inspirations with new possibilities. Welcome her graceful guidance into our healing hearts. Remember her promise of spring flowers transformed from seeds. For she walks in blessed beauty, flower petals between her toes, and a dusting of golden pollen on her nose. She will nurture the patient seed held in the bosom of the earth. Blessed be. I invite you now to open your eyes. And please rise in body or spirit for our closing